And we're back. Let's keep going. So, coding. I have been wanting to make my tea set look better. This color isn't attuned to my personal taste. Yuri said it as she picked up her pure black kettle, its metal reflecting the lights of the room poorly. Yeah, plus I was wondering if I could somehow make the colors on my cupcakes rainbow colored, or a mix. Oh, hello! Oh, I'm playing some more Lost Ascension. We're coding now. So hopefully this is like a bit of a break from the... I don't think she had a smirking... But whatever. So hopefully this is a break from MC sucks! He's the devil! That type of thing. We keep abbreviating his name. I don't know why. No, italicizing it. You know, as if he's freaking Voldemort or something. I don't know. Guess that's one way to avoid Yuri's teasing over. Oh, really? I thought you liked the purple icing. I guess I was wrong. Never mind. Yuri knew exactly what she was trying to do. This is a mod I'm feeling so conflicted over. There's a lot of good writing and then there's a lot of bad writing. And I guess I could maybe I could make, Sarah seemed to go deep into her own thoughts as she looked straight at me, eventually her eyes lighting up as something came to mind. I know what to make! I smiled as the girls all seemed to get excited over enhancing their coding skills for the first time. Alright then, we can just start with the tea set. It'll be easier to learn since it's a singular color change. Yuri's eyes lit up as she sat up straight and became serious in under a few seconds. Really? Why do I have to start with her? Natsuki said it as she huffed, Yuri smiling a little towards Natsuki. Because I'm just simple like that, Natsuki. Plus, this will be just the beginner's step. Multicoloring will be much more fun to learn, I'm certain of it. Natsuki went into a deeper state of humph as she tried to find a way to combat Yuri's statement. So what kind of color are you planning to create exactly? Yuri seemed to go deep in thought. We are doing that a lot, aren't we? We're just going like, what to do? Like, that's been happening a lot. As she looked at her tea set before she looked up at me, her answer prepared. A deep purple. I'm not a fan of bright colors, for the most part. She said the last of it when she glanced over at Natsuki, and I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow in response to that. Like, really? Deep colors. Okay, we can do that. I thought for a moment before pulling up my command prompt and typing in a quick line of code, really watching me with intent in her eyes. So to change the color of your tea set's texture, you can simply change its hex color code. Yuri frowned, looking disgruntled. Hex color code? I smiled at her confusion. Yes, it's a 6-digit number code that represents different colors. Yuri puzzled for a moment. Puzzled? Oh, I'm gonna puzzle this. I don't know. Trying to process the... I think she said looked I think it's supposed to be looked puzzled, not puzzled. But whatever. Trying to process the information that I had given her. Well, if the colors are represented by numbers, how do I know what number to choose for the right color? I raised up my finger, allowing myself to take confidence in my knowledge. Explaining how the numbers are read out loud would be a bit complicated. To keep things simple, I'll let you borrow my color reference notes that I've had on me for a while now. I turned to the proper page in my notes and handed them off to Yuri, who was looking over the page trying to figure things out on her own. She nodded as she looked up at me, silently signaling that she was ready. She pulled out her own and typed in what I had typed before to pull the T-set up and began to think hard about her color choice. She typed in what she wanted it to change to, and within a few seconds, her T-set shifted its hue into a much darker purple. Oh my, if only we could see that T-set! She looked down at the T-set with surprise as she picked it up, examining every little detail she could. But it's conflicting because there's real effort. Oh god, it did it again. The whole, we're gonna stop this, we're gonna stop and then restart the stream thing. Well, that's cool. It's pure purple. That's amazing. Natsuki and Zoe were watching it all for a few moments before Natsuki grabbed my notebook and looked it over. She nodded and pulled up her own command prompt and entered in a long line of code. I wonder what that says. Oh! Aha! I got it already! Natsuki created a cupcake with a mixture of colors of the icing. They didn't mix together all that well, but they did add to the beauty of it. Again, I guess cupcakes are too hard to generate. Or not that, it's just... Maybe it's use your imagination, that type of thing. Green, purple, blue, and pink. I smiled as she heard... Oh, your colors! All of their colors. Pink, purple, blue... You know, green, purple, blue, and pink. Green, purple, blue, pink. Yep, there we go. Can I have it? Natsuki held it away from her as she bit into it triumphantly. This is mine, Zoe, not yours. Zoe pouted as Yuri giggled, my smile coming up as I turned my attention to Zoe. What would you like to create today, Prince Zoe? She looked at me and a realization seemed to come over her. She stuttered as she seemed to collect her thoughts, finally opening her mouth. I would like to make a what? Plushie? You're gonna turn her into a marketable plushie, maybe. Nope. She stopped herself as she shook her head. A platter of cookies. That was literally... Okay, something tells me that's not what she was gonna say originally. Or maybe it was like... I sometimes stutter a little bit when I... Like that, or sometimes I just stop talking when I'm trying to get my thoughts together, so I sometimes either go dead air for a bit, or that type of thing, so maybe that's what was happening. Either way, we'll probably find out. A big warm platter, tasty and fresh. I looked at her a bit confused as to why she seemed so unsure of herself. Well, that's not too hard either, so it's a good start. So I smiled, relieved as I opened up my command prompt, the other girls watching me closely. So let's see. I looked over at Sayori. What kind of cookies do you want? She seemed to go into thought. How about some cinnamon cookies? I laughed as I started to type out the code to show her how to make the cookies themselves. Ooh! So I could change that value, the cookie flavor thing, along with the T-set hex color, I guess. Maybe that's like... I don't know. She said it, appearing to understand right away as she pulled up her own command prompt and started to type into it. Gee, she's really fast at that. She hit enter as a plate full of... Fuck, why did I... Nope, not hitting spacebar anymore. Freshly made cookies dropped down in front of the group. Sayori's eyes widening with excitement as she picked one up and bit into it. Yes! She was talking with her mouth full again. Sayori! Come on, don't talk with your mouth full. Natsuki piped up as she picked one up and joined in the feasting. Yuri giggled as she pulled up her command prompt again. She seemed interested in doing more. Well, let's spend the next 30 minutes messing around with this so everyone can get used to it. It seems we can jump a little further than just color switching for today, thanks to Sayori. The others nodded as they got back into their work, poking at things to edit around the house and with new things to spawn in and mess with. Huh. Neat. Alright, everyone. I popped up with a laugh as they put their command prompts away, Suri looking especially disheartened to be interrupted. I do my best to console her with my simple words as to what was happening next. No need to look that way. After all, I smiled brightly as my excitement came through unfiltered. It's time to share poems! Real poems! Not garbled messes! Or basic poems. Yeah, seriously? The poems in the base game were fine. I don't know what they're talking about. Probably compared to the craftsmanship that they can do now. I am not even... You know what? I'm gonna be more surprised if any of these poems don't talk about MC in some way. The girls brightened up as I said this. Natsuki in particular looked quite determined to show off her work. Poem time! Yes! So I said it loudly as she scrambled over to her bag, which was sitting by the front door still. Yuri let out a small laugh as she walked over to her own bag, reaching in and pulling out a small piece of neatly folded paper. Natsuki reached behind the couch and pulled up her own bag, pulling out her poem as well. Everyone pulled out their poems! Well, if everyone is ready, then I guess we can start sharing. Who wants to go first? The rest of my... smiled as they looked... What? Keep reading. As they looked at each other, at least until the stark realization set in front of them, and to share their poems, and with that their confidence faded away. What do you mean from what they had to do? It's simple. Here's my poem! Maybe it's the thing of like sharing real poems with real people instead of fake poems with fake people, I guess? Maybe? Or not? Okay. I thought things over for a moment before snapping my fingers. The other thing looking at me was surprised. I'll go to each of you and we can swap who goes to who every day, at least until we're all comfortable enough to share openly with one another. What? The others nodded as I looked at my own poem. Admittedly, I was a bit nervous as well, but I need to prove my own strength as a leader for them in this moment. What? Okay. Okay. So I'm picking who's sharing poems? I'm picking who Monica is gonna share poems with first. Isn't this type of, like, thing the exact thing we were trying to get away from in the first place? Like, this exact thing being forced to, like, do things based on random arbitrary choices? What, am I just a good... Or what, am I just a good player and MC's the unfortunate sap who has to share... who has to use my name as everyone unshakes their fists at him? I'm so confused. Because... I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it wrong, but... No, the whole point is to make a better world. Yeah, the whole point. And it's to make, like, a better world for everybody to be sentient in so they can live their lives. This kind of defeats the point of that, or maybe it's like, nah, don't worry, these choices will go away. But whatever, I don't know, let's just choose. Eeny, me, let's just choose, so... Yuri. Me? Now? Yuri said it quietly as I approached her. Well, you know, it's okay. I could just load this again and pick someone new. Meaning that none of this would have happened in the first place. Ace, her free will's decided by me here. It's just ironic. Again, you want the free will, huh? But I have to decide who you share poems with. It feels so weird. She had decided to sit down at the dinner table, which was not too separated from the living room. Natsuki and Suri were chatting in the background as they shared their poems. Wait, we're not sharing... Wait, Monica isn't sharing her poem with Sayori? What? Yeah, it was just Natsuki and Yuri. What? What? Yes, Yuri, I hope you don't mind. She nodded as she and I exchanged a moment of silence. Suri would have gotten her chatting by now. Oh, here. I almost forgot. Yuri slid her poem over to me. I did the same respectfully as I picked it up and looked at her poem. A breath of unfrozen air. The icy tendrils wrapping around my skin, squeezing, lashing out their last whim. This is the one. I could see the warm fire, crackling with life and joy. Its size minute, yet its hope unmatched. The freezing restraints, broken at last. Yeah, this is more talking about how the player, which... Yeah. This is... I blinked a few times as I looked up at Yuri. She really did have a way with words that I couldn't express. It's nice to hear your own words, isn't it? She put my poem down. The message clear to both of us as she looked at deep in thought. The message of Monica's poem or Yuri's poem? Wouldn't they be two different when are we seeing all of their poems? You never did tell us what happened before. Not all of it, at least. She looked at me seriously as I felt a twinge of guilt over having not told them the full truth yet. If you need to tell us, you can. She's reaching out to me? Yuri, of all people? I felt confusion mixing with my overwhelming guilt and regret. Why is she trying to be so nice about it? She doesn't even know it! That's why! I will. If I need to tell you, I will. I promise. She smiled a little as she took her poem back. Again, that's a smile, right? Totally not a frown at all. There it is. I'll take your word on that, Monica. As for your poem, I think we can agree that we both kind of wanted to talk about the same thing. Maybe tonight or tomorrow we can talk about it more if that's okay. Yes. You mean about... You know, those tendrils? About MC. Determination was one up in her voice as she looked at her own poem and then back at me. I'm hoping to go into more details this Saturday when we won't be so stressed out about this week. She looked at me with a glance of concern, a glint of suspicion lying underneath. Admittedly, she would be right about me not wanting to talk about it, so I didn't even try to mention it when I first talked to them. It isn't just for me either. It'd be for all of you because you all deserve the truth. She seemed to sigh, accepting the initial compromise. I will trust your word, Monica. I just don't want this to cause any distress at a crucial moment like you said before. She smiled again. Oh, she said that. The truth would cause distress at a crucial moment. Actually, the more I realize they need to be in top shape in order to play their roles, right? If they're distressing over hidden truths, then... Oh. Huh. Well, she should still tell them anyway. Like, sooner rather than later, the sooner they find out, more time for processing, but Saturday is a good time. Nothing happens during Saturday, so, you know. Yeah, but you are right. This Saturday seems to be an opportune time. Although I could tell from the strange tone in her voice that she wouldn't exactly let the issue lie bare until this Saturday, I decided to accept the compromise as well. I agreed with her word and stood up, thanking her for her time before moving on to my next partner. Alright, Natsuki. I walked over to her and sat down next to her. She had situated herself on the couch for the time being and was leaning back and trying to cast off a tough and stoic demeanor. Are you ready? She sighed audibly as she sat up and held out her poem. But quiet chatter of Yuri and Sayori beginning to pick up as the two of them shared the poems as well. Well, I mean, with this, we'd be halfway done, but what about Monica and Sayori's poems? Are they sharing them with each other sooner? Yeah, sure, just don't think I'm bad, because, you know, you do that coding stuff all the time. I looked up at her as I took the paper from her and smiled. That doesn't mean I'm a good writer, I just know how to write lines of data. Natsuki scoffed as she took my poem. She was a bit rough, but I could tell she was taking her time when she started to read it. My attention then went back to the poem I now had. The Fluffy King. I explore that feeling, that one of comfort, one of peace, with everyone. I see clouds, I see the sun, I see the sky, I see everyone. I like the Fluffy Kings. I like the yellow rays. I like the blue freedom. I see myself. Okay. So one of peace with everyone, so not with MC. Clouds, the sun, the sky, everyone. I guess that it means I see reality! She could actually see that and process that for the first time. The Fluffy Kings. The Fluffy Kings, let's capitalize. Yellow rays. Blue freedom. So Fluffy Kings is kind of like clouds. Yellow rays is the sun. The sky is the blue freedom, and everyone is myself. These two correlate with each other. What the That's a really good poem. I'm analyzing it. I just, like, wow. Again, there's good and bad about this mod. And strangely enough, the good always comes out when the MC's not involved. Like, when we're not talking about him, or, you know, giving him the freaking finger or in our minds. But then the bad stuff comes when all that is happening. So, again, I'm so conflicted. I read it over a few times, my mind racing. Are the fluffy yes? Yes, the fluffy kings of the clouds. What do you mean? What? The meaning is obvious. Yes, she sees these things, correlates it with those little symbols like cloud, fluffy king, sky, blue freedom, sun, yellow rays. Is everyone myself. By being with everyone, she finds out more about herself and grows as a person. And with everything else also helps along with that by giving her feelings of reality and realism. Pretty obvious! I felt my notebook get placed on my lap. I looked up at Natsuki. She was staring at me, a look of nervousness obviously displayed on her face. Natsuki, this poem is... I looked over her poem again. You don't get it, do you? She said it bluntly as I looked up at her, a feeling of doubt crawling on my back. I felt embarrassment turn my face red as I looked away from her. I looked at her poem again, something clicking when I read over each last line of the stanzas again. I do get it. Okay, maybe my own interpretation is wrong. Go for it. I looked up at her with a smile, to which she returned with a curious look of her own. I handed the poem back to her and straightened myself up in my seat. In fact, I think I understand exactly what you're getting at here. Her surprise only grew as I put a finger to my cheek, my smile growing a bit more. You like the calmness of little cloudy days, the ones in which you find yourself free and able to relax. Her surprise dissipated a little, my eyebrow raising, and you're comparing that to what you have now with us. We're little cloudy days with a bright sun peeking out. I mean, that's another way to interpret it. I just thought, you know, she's getting used to the feelings of realism, so... but I think I got the everyone help on part right, but I also feel like it's everyone helping her come out of her shell, you know? She comes out of her shell, learns more about herself, grows and develops as a character, or as a person, because of all that. That's my interpretation, anyway. She smiled when I said that. You didn't get it entirely, but close enough. I felt a bit discouraged as she smugly leaned back on the couch. Yeah, I did write about you guys, but the reason I did it wasn't solely about that. She smiled brightly. But I appreciate that you understood that She seemed to have a spark of realization ignited when she locked her gaze onto me. Yeah, about you guys. She looked away, her smug attitude disappearing. So, your poem. She sat up as she changed the subject, a small smile crossing my face. It was really insightful? I guess that would be the word Yuri would use. She seemed to think for a moment before shrugging. I mean, I'm sure I would get it better without the fancy words and stuff, but you got the point across. Yeah, just wish we could see it, but maybe that's happening soon. Must have sucked being alone like that. I smiled sadly as I nodded. She understands, even if she hasn't experienced exactly what I have been through. Yeah, it really did suck. Natsuki put a gentle hand on my arm. You'll get better. I know you will. Yeah, that's the face I'd use when comforting someone. Mad with gritted teeth. Still that? Why? Heck, you already have improved, haven't you? I looked at her a bit confused as she relaxed her expression once again. What? A gentle hand. All I got was a gentle hand on my arm. I didn't think gentle hand. And it was like... Whatever. Oh, let's get going. I really want to start on making... What about the other two poems? I laughed as she said signature before getting up and looking at the others. What? Monica! Suddenly, Sayori, I guess. Sayori hugged me tightly as I approached. I froze out of instinct, my limbs going stiff from the sudden shock of her arms clamping around my body. Sayori, you really need to stop surprising me like that. She pulled back and gave me a pout, her expression showing off how upset she was at my reaction. Do you not like my hugs, Monica? I shook my head without any hesitation. No, it's not that. It's just that Her upset pout was slowly morphing into a gaze of genuine sadness, my heart twitching with regret as I looked at her, my mouth clamped shut. I sighed audibly as I looked at her. Where did this come from? I'm sorry, we were just sharing poems one moment, and then suddenly, boom! Sayori's here! She's giving you a hug! And now we're discussing this. Like, this came completely out of nowhere. Like, as far as the context of this coding club thing, but whatever, maybe this is the opportune time to share poems? Alright, Sayori, you can hug me whenever, so long as you promise it won't result in nearly toppling me over or scaring me after death. She smirked deviously as she took in the glory of her apparent victory. Of course, it was too late to avert the mistake I had just made. There's custom sprites! I don't remember the character smirking like that. I mean, maybe that's a Natsuki smirk placed on a Sayori face. It's probably it. She really was just messing with me, that little devil. Anyways, are you ready to share? Yes! There we go! She led me over to the couch as we both sat down, facing each other. When did she become so persuasive? She's stepping up her game all of a sudden. Oh, I just got a great idea. The other two looked over at us as she piped up a bit too loudly. How about we read our poems aloud to each other? Salvation already did that. You know, Miss Wentz, just to try it. I looked at the others, hoping they would disagree, but they both seemed to like the— Uh-oh. I sighed internally, giving in to Sayori's want without much hesitation. Sure, let's try it this once, just to see how it goes. Sayori smiled as Yuri started to read quietly to Natsuki. She was taking quick note of Natsuki's intense expression as she honed in on Yuri's every word. Those two are pretty cool with it. I guess I really don't have a choice at this point. Uh-oh, your poem is sensitive memory returning information, right? Okay, Monica, you want to go first or should I? Sayori tore my focus away from the brothers. As I looked back at her and down at my poem, I wondered about who should go first. Should she or should I? Again, ironic. Again, glad I'm choosing for the character who wanted, who in the prologue said she couldn't be controlled, yet I'm controlling her choice! I'm choosing for her! This is so ironic! Like, what? And she doesn't even realize it, that's the thing! Who should go first? Well, I guess I'm gonna choose for you! And out of everyone, I'm pretty sure... Nope! Doesn't even realize it! I thought that it'd be like some Easter egg that's like, wait a minute. Didn't I choose the other thing before or something? I mean, maybe it's deeper in, but no? I mean, maybe it's because she's like the first real character or something, but still, it just feels so off. I, the player, you know, Monica's the one who wanted to escape, like, having things chosen, like, the entire prologue amounting to I can't be controlled. Meanwhile, I'm controlling who's gonna go first. Like, really? Whatever. I mean, as long as it's about meaningless things like poem sharing, then I'm fine. No, I'm not. It completely goes against the prologue. What? Like, what? I guess I'm the good player, and whoever this psychopath is the bad player that we're going against. Or something? I feel like I'm missing something, even though I played the entire game. And up to this point, and retained all that info. I said info weird, but whatever. So I'm gonna go first. You know, get this revelation over with. Like, my poem is gonna be about this other thing, but whatever. Well, with me being the president, it's only natural that I go first, right? Sayori's eyes lit up as I said this. Yay, I get to listen to your poem first. Sayori smiled brightly at me as I awkwardly began reading my poem out loud. The tide of changing waves, desperate to bring about a new time. My hand drifts across the numbers and letters, ever so curious, and curiouser, looking harder, deeper, farther than before, seeking something to fight. Is she blushing? Finally set me loose, something to let me free. Free. So, let's analyze it this way. This is definitely about the prologue, speaking of that. Sorry, just kind of found a little obstacle course. Avoid the green dots, mouse cursor, you can do it! But whatever, so yeah. Going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the code. It's probably that. I finished reading. Sayori's eyes were sparkling with enthusiasm as she held up hers. I'm gonna read mine now. I hope it's good enough to match yours. I smiled as I laughed a little. I'm sure it'll be just fine, Sayori. You're a good writer after all. She seemed pleased with my support as she began to read her poem. The fresh smell of cherry blossoms. Ah, yes, this ukulele thing. Still can't get over how she could have gone first and I did that. Me! A player! Yeah. Deciding who Monica would decide on who goes first. Making a choice for the person who wanted to be in control more than anything. It just feels so weird and ironic, and I don't even know if that was the intention. I don't think it was. I honestly don't. Oh, but whatever. Moving on from that. Dangling fresh in the air. Something not yet felt or ever seen before. I love it here with the cheerful cherries. They wave softly in the wind. Sayori finished her poem and I couldn't help but smile at it. And Alice's time, so... This is her, like, feeling reality. Like, the fresh smell of cherry blossom. She could smell it for the first time. Loving this! Cheerful cherries, probably referring to the club members, but the feeling of realism. Realism! After a coding session. Yup. That was wonderful, Sayori. It's so nice to hear you put in so much effort. She smiled as she relaxed a little bit. I could tell she had been nervous about it from the get-go. It was not nearly as amazing as yours, though, Monica. I looked at her strangely. You really think so? She nodded intensely. It was super duper awesome. I raised an eyebrow. I really didn't think it was my best. Well, I mean, it was your first real poem, so by proxy that means it's your best. Like, that's like creating a film and having it be bad, but hey, it's the best film that you created, because it's your only film that you created. Don't discredit yourself, though. Yours was just as amazing as mine. She seemed a bit taken aback by my compliment. Thank you, Monica, but I shook my head as she looked at me confused. I'm being serious. Your poem was just as good as mine, if not better. She pouted a bit, but eventually relented to my reassurance. Well, thank you, Monica. I really, really appreciate that. I smiled as I put my poem to the side and hugged her. She seemed a bit surprised, but she hugged me back before we pulled away. We chatted for a little while before I glanced at the time on the clock. Oh, it's almost time for dinner, isn't it? Sorry to stop our conversation, but I gestured to the clock in the room, Sarah looking back at it and jumping a little in shock. Ah, how time flies when you're conversing together. Wow, it's that late already? I guess it's time for some more of Natsuki's famous cooking. I laughed a little at that before I stood up, preparing to address the others. Or are we switching? Oh, we are. Alright, everyone. Monica spoke up as we finished sharing poems with one another, my head snapping to look at her. Already? I looked down at my poem again before folding it up and stuffing it in my pocket, turning my attention towards Monica once again. Speaking of which, in terms of and which poem I think was best, Natsuki's. It was Natsuki's. I really love the way that the second stanza had correlation with the third stanza, both of which correlating so well with each other in terms of, like, what's happening. I'll thank you for the follow! I'll thank you for the follow, Sayori1219. Glad you're enjoying the stream, but, dang it. Didn't make it into the Plinko jar, unfortunately. Oh no, but, yeah. Hello, this is a mod called Lost Ascension. And have you heard of it? It before, That's all the time we have for today. Oh no. Well, this is part, no, well, there's a lot of catch up. But yeah, it seems cool. I can tell from the name. You know, I find it pretty something I find it pretty impressive is, like, I see it with, like, club meetings and things, which is another mod, but, like, that you should really check out. But when people write a character so well that they can, like, act out, like, characters, like, in real time, like, it's pretty impressive, honestly, but... yeah, this is Lost Ascension. It's a mod that I'm conflicted on, because on the one hand, we have pretty good moments like this. Like, really good moments like this, like the coding club, these genuine bonding moments. And then C shows up, and it's suddenly, and while there's still good moments, it also is interlaced with, like, you know, insults and resentment but that's because of the correlation between MC and the player. Their player being a psychopath, kinda, a sociopath, or whatever bad person, so it's just unfortunate correlation, maybe? I honestly don't know, but again, parts 1 and 3, I mean 1 and 2 are VODs, so after this you can watch them, get caught up, and then yeah, see exactly what I'm talking about in terms of that, but let's keep going. I think I missed something. That's all the time we have for today. We're almost out of time, which is a shame in all honesty. Wait, what? Those two... So that's all the time we have, and we're almost out of time. Don't really correlate that well. She smiled brightly at us from the front of the room. Oh yeah, this also changes perspectives a bunch. Currently we're in Natsuki's perspective. That's going to be, like for instance, blue is this, like say like that. It's gonna flash the color on the screen if, like, it's gonna flash blue on the screen if we change it to Sayori's perspective, so that's also pretty cool. But anyway, and also I have voices for these characters. Natsuki's, Yuri's is more quiet, and Monika's is unique. I don't know why I chose the voices I did, but that's, Sirius is bubbly happy, this is gravelly and tough, so yeah, just in case you have questions about the voices. But anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, this is the voice. Was that enjoyable? Yep, that's the voice. She looked concerned as she asked, Siri beaming back as she stood up. That was a really great suggestion, Yuri. And you led us amazingly, Monika. I looked over at Monika and shrugged. Yeah, it was pretty alright. Yuri nodded in agreement as she settled into her chair in a more relaxed manner. Yes, it was truly enjoyable, Monika. Thank you for indulging my idea and for pursuing it as much as you did. I smiled over at Yuri. She responded in kind. So we could do this again tomorrow? Siri said it excitedly as Monika immediately responded with an enthusiastic nod. Of course. This is something we all enjoyed, isn't it? I rolled my eyes as I stood up and stretched out my back. Sure, but you guys are all acting like this is even remotely difficult. What? What do you mean? Oh, the poems. Why is she angry? Like, How dare you disgrace the difficulty of creating poems? I don't know, maybe, yeah, that's probably your character or something. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, we'll probably get an answer soon enough. Yuri looked a bit mad at my tease while Monica and Suri looked at me surprised. Oh crap, did I seriously just say that out loud? Never mind. I mean, Monica laughed, which caused the scolding of his face to contort into a small something. What was that about anyway? That's alright, Natsuki. Go prove your worth, Miss Chef. I felt my face burn up as I crossed my arms in response. Yuri's smile was only growing as my annoyance followed. This music kind of loops weirdly, but it's completely what's gonna happen? Never mind. Oh, it just changed. I thought it was gonna be like super serious all of a sudden or something. I don't know. I let out a loud sigh as they laughed about my embarrassment. I wanted to pursue the argument, but I figured I would let the cooking do the talking. Entering the kitchen, I took in a deep breath, letting myself become familiar with Sarui's kitchen again. Alright, let's whip up something memorable. I opened up the pantries first, gathering up spices in a box of spaghetti. Let's see how prepared they are for this one. I smirked to myself, planning to hit them hard with this dish, even with its simple concept and introduction. I pulled out the pot and let it fill with water while I rushed over to the fridge, easily digging into it with ease and pulling out a few uncut tomatoes. I nodded to myself as I went back to the pot, turning off the water and attempting to pull it out of the sink, only to realize that I might have been spilling it all over the place if I lifted it without any help. Do you need help? I felt my body freeze up once again, every fiber of my body tensed by her sudden arrival behind me. Every time she says anything out of the blue, I swear, although I guess it was good timing on her part. I turned around and looked at Yuri. She was watching me from nearby the fridge, her hands wrapped around what appeared to be a fresh fruit. I need help. She put down what was apparently an apple before she gracefully walked over next to me and pulled the pot out of the sink before placing it on top of the stove. Don't tell the others, got it? She looked at me and smiled in response. Would you like any more help with this, Natsuki? I opened my mouth to say no immediately, but I felt my throat clench up as I reconsidered it. Yes, I would like more help, please. She seemed a bit surprised at my answer. Guess we're both still getting used to being so nice. Then I'll stay here and help you. She walked over and looked at everything out on the counter, a clear look of confusion crossing her eyes. What are we making? I walked over and smirked as I turned on the flame below the pot. Yuri jumped back a little at how sudden fire appeared. Just watch and learn, Yuri. This is the kind of stuff that survivalists learn how to do. She laughed again as she stood back, watching me throw a few of the different spices into the water initially, then letting it boil out into an even spread. Hey, Yuri. She looked at me curiously. Yes, Natsuki? I smirked as the joke bubbled out of me. Are you straight? The look on it. Okay, nope. Yeah, at least we're getting this out of the way. And my blunt humor? Ah, yes, blunt humor. Let me guess, because you sure are cute. Wink. Why would you ask me something like that so suddenly? I never... What are you doing? What is happening? I smirked as I turned towards her and took a step closer. I couldn't help but be coy about the whole thing. Because spaghetti's straight. Trying to think, what are you what is happening? I swear these things are just coming out of nowhere. Like, where did this come from? Like, I get it, there was buildup over the course of the month, but this is... What? I was just discussing making dinner, and all of a sudden... Yeah, I'm gonna do a joke. You're straight. We're gonna get real close all of a sudden. I don't know what's happening. Whoa! It is raining. Okay, at least it isn't, like, storming. Hopefully. I'm gonna check. Nope, it's just rain. Okay, good. That's good. That's good. We can keep going. What? Until it gets... She looked at me confused as I said, yeah, I'm confused! Yeah, I'm confused! Where did... what? Until it gets wet. Her nervousness faded away as she smiled, letting out a louder than normal laugh. I'm gonna analyze this. Spaghetti... Oh, I get it. It's straight till it gets wet. A spaghetti... Spaghetti humor! It just came right the fuck out of nowhere. She took a step away from me as she tried to keep herself calm. To no avail, of course. I smirked as she kept laughing over my completely random, out-of-nowhere joke. I mean, I get it. Spaghetti, we're cooking spaghetti joke, but what? Yeah, master of jokes. Master of jokes, Natsuki. Random jokes. I thought it to myself as she snorted in the middle of her laugh, causing me to laugh a little bit as well. Okay, Natsuki, seriously? I nodded as I turned my attention to the wet pasta, getting it over to the sink and pouring it out into a colander. I put the pot back onto the stove and mixed together the last of the sweet ices and tomato sauce into the now empty pot. Yuri was still trying to calm down over my joke. I knew you were such a comedian, I would have approached you sooner. I looked at her and winked as I picked up the now waterless noodles and put them back into the pot. If you could carry this out to the kitchen, I can get the utensils and everything else. She nodded as she picked up the pot, stopping and looking at me as I went over to the fridge, pulling out some of the grated cheese Sayori had. Natsuki? I looked over at her and felt the chill go up my spine again. Her eyes were closed a little as she looked at me, her face getting red from her intense stare. Thanks for making today... Oh, we are mentioning him by name. In spite of what happened earlier today, with me. Cool. Couldn't help but smile. Smile! It's no problem. Plus we have reading to do after dinner, right? Yeah, everything that happened with Robbie, as he acted normally! Normally! He acted normally! It did nothing! I mean, said weird things, sure, but... I mean, sure, said a little bit of weird things to Sayori, and, you know, wrote some bad poems, but seriously? Whatever, back to the good moments. It's just gotta get one more blunt moment to suck you right out, right? Whatever. She nodded as she turned up and walked over to the table. Said Kava for a bit, my pride swelling up. Today was stacking up to be pretty good. And why is the music... What? Oh, right, it's scene transition. We're gonna change perspectives again. I sat down at the dinner table after I placed down the pot, allowing myself to relax as Natsuki came over and set out the utensils at each girl's spot. Alright, gonna do a little intermission time. Alright, I'm back. Let's get this back on the road. Oh, let's see the Plinko thing! How many? 1, 2, 3, 5. 5 this time. That apparently happens every time I come back from, like, breaks. I sat down at the dinner table after I placed... I already said that. Actually, I forgot to do something. Alright, back again. Natsuki then sets down a decently sized bowl of the cheese she had gotten out. Flamham. I love... Okay. Quick sign up. This starry-eyed Sayori is my favorite Sayori sprite. Hope the rest of these people can get those types of sprites too, although it might look weird, but whatever. Her goon was wide as the other two joined us from the living room. Sayori's eyes in particular were widening as she stared at the large pot. How? Sayori kept stuttering as Monica smiled at the whole feast. Thank you for putting this all together for us, Natsuki. I get the feeling Sayori should have said that she's the one that kind of like, So. Okay, for a second I thought I heard thunder. That was just shaking something. I don't know. She said it with a clear cheer to her tone as she helped Sayori sit down during what could basically be summed up as a panic attack over food. Sayori must really love food. I felt a small smile come across my face as the bowls were shifted around between us, the spaghetti being served in large helpings as we discussed over the day's events. So this morning was okay? I wasn't sure if it would be. Let me guess. Because of what? The guy who has to play the role of a psychopath while also playing the role of... Also, still getting to choose certain aspects of things. May I remind you of the 2 saved choices I have that I'm choosing for Monica. The person who hated that more than literally everyone else. Just let that stew for a bit. Monica placed a small amount of cheese over her sauce-covered noodles as she said this. She seemed to grimace a little as she watched Sayori think for a moment. Did you not think it would be all good? Yeah, it was alright, I guess. Although I'd say walking with him was, let me guess, off-putting, annoying, a really bad experience that you never want to happen again. Cause he's a demon. He's gonna sprout devil horns at any minute. Sayori's smile fades away as her brow furrows a little bit in thought. I don't know, sad? Sad works! What? Lonely? I'm not really sure. Lonely because he isn't real. Got it. She seemed to be deep in thought about it as Natsuki piped up to help her out. You mean it was just super boring and bland? Sarah looked up and nodded, her expression relaxing and body language mellowing. Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Boring, bland. Counts. That counts. I smiled to myself again as I got a hold of the cheese and poured some of it onto my meal before placing it back on the table. I couldn't help but smile at my completed bowl. I helped make this snap with Natsuki. I twirled a little bit of it onto my fork before lifting it up and placing it in my mouth. Huh? How does she keep making these amazing meals? I felt my inner self take over for a moment as I dug in. The others seemed to be in agreement, all of us finding a good rhythm of silence as we savored the taste of Natsuki's impressive cooking. What are we expecting him to evil laugh? Whatever. Natsuki! So good! Siri said it as she got herself a second helping, a clear smile on her face. Natsuki smirks, pleased with the fruits of her labor. Thank you! Finally, someone who appreciates my efforts with something around here. I looked over at her concerned. Does she think I lied about her poem? I did actually think it was pretty good. I looked back down at my bowl and realized I had pretty much scarfed the entire thing down. I smiled to myself happily as I got a selfie helping of a delicious meal. Oh, you do a lot for us, Natsuki, outside of just cooking. I mean, you helped Yuri out. I looked up in surprise at Monika, who was smiling at the two of us. Well, wait. I started out as Natsuki looked at me. I was just spending some time with her is all. Natsuki simply nodded in agreement as Monika chuckled. Sure. Reading each other's books, helping each other cook. That sounds like a friendship in the making. I heard a quiet gasp come from Natsuki's looked over her. The prospect of an actual friendship hit me like a cement truck. Is she really my friend now? I mean, she has to be at this point, considering everything we've done together. See? I think it's good that we're able to connect like this. I mean, it's important for us to click like this, right? Everyone at the table nodded as Monika put another forkful of her dinner into her mouth, her face going back to that of blissful enjoyment. I also have heard that food fights are a good way to bond between friends. Let me guess. Food fight! Right? Yep. Siri's head perked up from a meal. All of us looked at her strangely before she started to laugh. I'm just kidding, jeez. Fuck him. You know. That's such a childish idea anyways. I couldn't help but laugh a little bit. Yes, quite immature and amateur. So Monika, tomorrow was just more of the same, correct? Monika finished a bite of food before responding. In general, it mostly is. More poem sharing, some different situations between us over the duration of the day, but yes, pretty much the same. Natsuki sighed as she pushed her bowl away. She leaned back and patted her stomach. At least I have this food to look forward to when we're finished. Oh, don't forget coding club, poem sharing, just more good in general. I'd like to think of this coding club as a light at the end of a tunnel. Just gotta trudge through insult after insult and gotta trudge through insults and resentment before getting to genuine niceness. She smirked to herself as her self-compliment sunk in. Still stroking that ego, eh, Natsuki? Yeah, it's so good! Sarah proclaimed it as she got up and looked into the pot, a sad expression crossing her face when she saw the interior of it. There's no more left. Monika frowned for a moment before offering her bowl to the pouting Siri. You can have what's left of mine if you want it. I can't eat any more tonight. Siri's face lit up as she took the bowl and practically began to absorb it through her mouth. Jeez, Siri, slow down or you'll choke. Or get compared to Kirby, maybe. Siri had gone unresponsive as she shoved food into her mouth voraciously. We might be here for a bit. Monika looked over at us and smiled apologetically. You two can go, though. Sarah and I can clean up. It's only fair. Natsuki looked like she wanted to protest, but she hung her head up and stood up. Thank you, Monika. Thank you. Natsuki looked up and smiled before walking out of the kitchen. I stood up and readjusted my sweater before turning to follow Natsuki. Yuri! I paused and turned around. Yes, Monica? She was staring at me seriously before glancing over at the eating Sayori. Never mind, I'm just nothing. She was watching Sayori now curiously. Is she? I watched Monica for a few moments before shrugging it off and leaving the room. Sayori? Would she really? She threw the rope out. I doubt she would. Hey, Yuri! My thought was interrupted by the small voice of Natsuki calling me over to the couch. I made my way over and sat down next to her, and she scooted the couch closer to me. So I wanted to finish up that chapter from earlier with you, if that's alright. I looked at her surprised as she opened up the portrait of Markov right back to where we left off. Really? Did you really enjoy it that much? Also, weren't we supposed to read manga? I mean, we did that before? I think so. No, we didn't. Yeah, we did! We read Portrait of Markov. We're supposed to read manga. They're supposed to read manga. She looked at me and smiled knowingly. Maybe not as much as you think, but you know. Oh, right, it's still the same night. I forgot. Gotta keep a promise, so read manga with me tomorrow. I grimaced slightly at the prospect, but I did agree to it earlier today. So let's read. I shrugged off my negative thoughts and settled in with Natsuki, the two of us preparing to read together just like we had earlier in the day. One last thing though, Natsuki. She looked up at me as I stopped the page from turning. Who is the fluffy king to you? You didn't seem to have any male lovers from what I recall. What? Right, from the poems. Natsuki's face flushed red as she looked away from me. I think you're looking into it too much is what it means. Most guys would never pass as someone I'd love. I laughed a little as I turned my attention back to the book, content with her response. Oh, back to Monica. What are we doing? I watched Sayori finish eating her third helping of dinner as my eyes were only beginning to droop from exhaustion. Before I could pass out, however, I shook myself awake as Sayori stood up and stretched. Phew! That was a great meal! I smiled at her enthusiasm as I also stood up. Now that you're finally done, are you ready to clean up this mess? She looked at me confused before she looked at the table, her expression morphing from a confused stare to a pout. Can you do this for me, please? Okay, I'm starting to doubt this. Could you... I looked at her and let myself frown a little. Come on, Siri, please don't make me clean this up all by myself. She sighed as she begrudgingly agreed to help, and even though she seemed uninterested at first, she's going way faster than usual. I pretty much only had to move one or two dirty bowls to the sink before Sayori had finished all the cleaning and washing of dishes. Sayori didn't respond until she had finished with the last bowl. For supposedly being lazy, you work real fast when you want to. Gosh, she looked over at me with a tired expression. That was fun. What? That didn't look fun? Again, because when I have fun, I pout the whole time. Like, the whole time. No change in expression or anything, just pout. She stood up straight with a smile as she grabbed my hand again, my face turning red out of automatic response. Sayori, you need to... She was already dragging me to her own house, like she had done multiple times at school. Why are you... Yuri and Natsuki both looked up at us as we passed by. All I could do was shrug as Sayori continued to drag me up the stairs into her room. Sayori, what's going on? You're really being upfront about this. What's happening? What is happening? What's going on? Sayori ignored my comments, instead dragging me into her room and closing the door before looking at me and hugging me tightly. Sayori, are you okay? Seriously? No, what is happening? She let go, and that's when I saw it. Sayori? She was crying profusely, her body shaking as she started to fall. We're gonna talk about him again, aren't we? Sayori! I nearly screamed as I managed to catch her, her body trembling as she clutched onto my arms tightly. I led her over to her bed and sat her down, hugging her as she saw her. Her words came out in broken Her broken chunks nearly incomprehensible. What is happening? It has to do with the thing from before. Is she remembering? Whatever, time to find out. Why did I slam this? I'm energetic. I guess it's my turn now to be the caretaker, huh? I rubbed her back as she started to calm down, my head resting on top of hers before she pulled away and locked eyes with me. I'm sorry, I don't know. put a hand on her shoulder and shook my head. This is about earlier, isn't it? When Natsuki found you? She broke eye contact with me, looking down. I thought so. What happened earlier? She looked up at me and seemed to want to talk, but instead she looked away. Please, Sayori. I moved my hand down hers and gently held it. She looked back down at the connection between us and then looked back up at me. Please tell me. I'm your friend. Your best friend. I care about you and I don't want to see you hurt like this. She remained silent for a few more moments before letting out a quiet sigh. I really don't know how to explain this, but he isn't real, right? We are discussing him. You mean MC or the player? I shook my head, lost as to where this was leading. Okay. She squeezed my hand as she formulated her next thought. But you are, right? And so are Yuri and Natsuki? I nodded as she looked down at our hands again. Then he doesn't matter, right? And nothing he does matters either, right? I'm just gonna count it at this point. Whoa. Right, he... Right, he... No, I'm sorry. He was her childhood friend. I nodded again as she looked away from me, clearly in thought. Then why do I feel so bad? I feel so... betrayed? She said it as she looked at me with confusion. You'll feel betrayed and by someone you... What? Used? Where is this coming from here? Betrayed and used. How? I mean, right, I get it. He said some kind of iffy things, but... So I get the betrayed part, kinda. But... Used? What? Ah, yes, because from that dialogue, I thought... Wait, what? I think he said the same things in the base game. This is all vanilla dialogue, I think, in terms of his character. Most of it, anyway, but... Used? Nowhere in that game did I ever get the vibe that he was using Sayori as, like, a means to an end. Where is that coming from? What? I said it quietly as she looked at me, a bit of realization coming across it. You still were hoping for today, weren't you? But this was all some sick nightmare, and that this was just a funny joke. That's more accurate. I swallowed once before continuing, seeing her emotions flicker. But it isn't. It's real. She looked at me and seemed stunned for a moment, and then a fresh rush of tears streamed down her face, and she tackled me onto a bed with how forceful her hug was. Sayori. She sobbed loudly as she clutched my shirt. Monica, why? Whoa! Why? Why did he do this to us? Are we talking about the player or the MC? 'Cause MC did nothing. I mean, except present mean poems, but I really don't think he wrote those. That was the player. What is up with this? I mean, if we're talking about the player, then yeah, that player sucks. That player. Not me. Still V saved. And the point is kind of ironic. Also, hey, viewer, we're currently having a deep discussion about why the MC is apparently this horrible specimen, I guess. Maybe we'll figure out who she's talking about. I held her as she bawled, letting her calm down again as I adjusted us both to be lying on the bed. After what seemed to be an eternity, I realized that the once crying Sayori had fallen asleep, tightly attached to me. I sighed as I reached over and turned the light off, making sure my phone was on the charger for the alarm before snuggling in. I carefully pulled the blanket over her and I, whilst not letting her wake up. I always imagined myself doing something like this with a lover, not a friend, you know? Well, maybe that could still be the case if things are going the way we think. I think. I said it to nobody in particular as I held her, looking down at her sleeping face and feeling that redness on my face flare up again. Yup. A lover. I realized I might never find that now. Without him, that was. I continued to stare as I pulled her closer, and let my mind go off. A lover. I rubbed Sarah's back again. A lover? Yup. That's where we're going with this. Huh. A lover? Huh? Natsuki asked quietly as I stirred my morning tea with a small spoonful of sugar. Oh, it's the next day. Yes, I went to wake them up and I saw them cuddling like they were yesterday. I have a feeling they're hiding something from us. Natsuki grinned widely as she scooted into the seat next to me, sliding over a plate of buttered toast and leftover bacon from yesterday. So, we really are going in that direction, aren't we? Sayonica! I mean, definitely was Sayonica at that point. Which leaves only Natsuri, so... if we can't go to MC, you know, that dastardly doodle, I guess, go to each other. Or maybe they're not sure of it themselves yet. I mean, this kind of thing does tend to happen quite often. She looked down at her own plate eagerly before tearing into a piece of her toast. True, maybe they're good friends. My words trod off as I remembered yesterday. Considering how I found Sayori, Natsuki tore me out of my own thoughts. I don't know about that, but yeah, they're totally getting all snuggly with each other. I smiled a little as I picked up a piece of bacon, taking a moment to indulge in the wonderful aroma of the delectable strip before biting into it. Just as good as yesterday. So, since they're still getting out of their love nest, I wanted to ask you something about that book and stuff. I looked over at Natsuki, surprised. She seemed to be thinking hard. Yes, did something confuse you? She looked at me and acted a bit nervous as she formulated a sentence. Do you see yourself as the main character, or like them? I raised an eyebrow. Does it seem all that serious to her? I didn't think it was. Why, well, yes, I do see myself in her, and I'm sure you see the similarities. Natsuki nodded before she swallowed her mouthful of toast. Yeah, but there's a few things, too, that honestly, I don't know, don't seem like you. I looked at her strangely as she stared at her toast with an inquisitive glare. Such as... I said it quietly as I stopped eating entirely. I mean, I'm sure not everything about her is like me. Well, for starters, she seems to have a lot more self-doubt than you do. I mean, you nearly broke that jerk's nose yesterday. Right, we're talking about MC. Cool, he's a jerk now, I guess, for simply talking to people, interacting normally. Could you imagine if he found out that people were that the club was talking about him like this? It'd break his heart. I felt a slight bit of relief tingle through my spine, the tension I was feeling dissipating. Oh, really? You think I would attack someone? Oh, no, not someone. Him! In full italics and bolding, because that's the way we describe him now. Either that or we call him the multitude of synonyms that can count as insults. Either way, we're treating him like Voldemort, only saying his name whenever it's a super serious moment. You're right, I don't think you have a cap on what you would do to someone if they got angry. Like the saying goes, the quiet ones are always the most dangerous, right? I smiled and let out a quiet laugh as I turned my attention back to my bacon. What, am I wrong? I'm just pointing out the obvious. I smiled brightly as she looked at me, her smile obvious in comparison. No, you aren't really wrong, but I don't want to inflict violence on anyone. Far from it, really. Okay, well... Alright, I'm gonna let that... Okay, you know what? I'm gonna let that stew in my head. Because of what before. I'm gonna let that stew in my head. Fact... Gonna write it down so that it really stews. There we go. Natsuki nodded. Sure you wouldn't. She suddenly stole the piece of bacon from my hand and put it in her mouth, still smiling as I reeled back. Natsuki, why did you do that? I glared at her as she offered her piece. I was thinking carefully of before leaning forward and biting the end of it. Yuri? Well, I mean, hey, if you could suddenly out of nowhere make a make a stringy spaghetti joke and put tension there. She can do that too. She looked at me a bit shocked as I chewed on it slowly. What? I'm just getting my due pay. She shook her head as she brought the bacon back to herself and bit on the other end before holding it back out to me. I looked at it curiously as I leaned forward and waited to do it again. Natsuki looking at me inquisitively as I did so. This feels... She followed suit as we bit farther down, leaving only one small piece left. This piece is for you. She said it quietly as she held it closer to me. What? Where? Why? What? Why? Why? How? We went from, oh yeah, let's discuss the book and bacon and similarities to, oh yeah, we're gonna get some breakfast, we're gonna get some romantic breakfast bacon tension. Yeah. I don't know. I opened my mouth and gently took it from her, chewing it slowly as the two of us stared at each other. Natsuki finally looked back at her plate. This is awkward. Natsuki? I said it quietly as I started to reach over to her. Good morning, you two! I pulled my hand back as I looked over at the now present Natsuki. Darn! Darn, man! We were just about to get to that breakfast tension. Monica standing behind her with a tired expression on her face. Oh, good morning! I said it happily as I turned back into my chair normally. Morning! Siri said it happily as she made her way into the kitchen behind us, digging into her fridge. Morning! Monica said it mumbling a bit as she walked behind us. The clang of glass cups came as Monica prepared her coffee. Did you two sleep well? Natsuki asked it quietly in an oddly smooth voice. Yes, we did, Natsuki. Thanks for asking. I looked at her strangely as I chewed on my toast. Being awfully nice today. You two comfortable sleeping up there with just the one bed? Sari nodded with a soft smile on her face as she came around and sat down across from us, Monica joining us soon after as she sipped from her cup. Yeah, I'd imagine it's pretty warm too, with all those plushies and stuff. Sari nodded as Monica looked up questioningly. She then looked over at me with a rather curious expression. What is this? Especially my big cow plushie. You can say Mr. Cow! Sari smiled nervously as Natsuki grinned widely, Monica's eyes widening as she started to realize what was happening. So what? This coffee is full! So what else are you cuddling, huh? Maybe you're cuddling? This coffee is fantastic, Natsuki. I don't know how you brewed such a good cup. Okay, we really need to just let these moments happen, okay? Natsuki was cut off by a fast-talking Monica. Sarah looked a bit confused as she shrugged and went back to eating. Again, let the moments happen, man. It's weird. These two couples just keep third-wheeling each other. It's weird. Did you happen to get anything else for breakfast? Natsuki smiled widely. There's cereal in the pantry and milk, if that's alright. Plus there's more fruit in the fridge. I'm sure those two would cuddle up together nicely. Monica smiled with a bit of an irritated look in her eyes before she got up and went over to the fridge and pantry. I leaned over and whispered softly to Natsuki, do you really have to do that to her? Well, they're probably talking about it Monica, what did Natsuki mean by cuddling other things? What did she mean by that? What does she mean by any of this? Or something. Natsuki nodded in response as I sat straight up straight. Monica soon coming back and joining us with a flustered look across her face. Anyways, we can take things a bit slower this morning, since the game doesn't even know it's alive until the club meeting. We all nodded in accordance as she sipped away generously, her eyes slowly becoming more aware. And you're all dressed already too. Sheesh, excited for today? Monica smiled as she picked up a strawberry, examining it as she bit into it and savored its taste. Of course we're excited, even though he's around. Don't forget the italics and bolding. That's very important in demonizing this innocent person. And it's really fun to hang out with everyone. Wait. If he's normally, then that's maybe the MC, and then he is referring to the player. So maybe I got that wrong? No, because it's with him. So it's walking to school with him. Maybe, okay, no. I want to think about this. Him is probably referring to the player. That's the person we're demonizing, not MC. I mean, we are still insulting him. We're up to 42 here, but I don't know. Monica seemingly flinched when Sayori said hang, but she smiled as well. I'm really happy to hear that. Are you two enjoying them as well? I nodded, albeit with a bit of disgust while thinking about having to deal with him again. But at the very least, I did have everyone else around to help out when that comes up. Yeah, that counts. That counts! That counts! You know. Just... I honestly can't tell. Either way, MC is just the target. Either way, poor MC's just got this target on his back that he doesn't even know about. Like, I don't know what this is. What is this? Yeah, it's alright, I guess. Although I am looking forward to being able to do whatever I want here. It's much more fun without any big mean jerks trying to push me around or anything. MC did nothing of the sort. What are you talking about? Or maybe the people at school. Or maybe just MC. I don't know. We keep... I don't know. Pushing... I don't know. Push you around? I don't remember MC shoving you, but, you know. I nodded to that one, too. The others seemed to agree as well, even though there was zero evidence to support that. In that case, then we... I mean, except for Sayori's case, but... I don't know. In that case... then we should probably capitalize on our free time at school. So I'm going to go get ready before I waste any more time. I had just noticed she was still in her sleepwear. My eyebrows raising as I looked at them. Ah, finally, a good delicious piece of bacon. Sayori said it cheerfully as she took a large bite, a calm and blissful smile on her face. You're welcome, Sayori. Natsuki and it quietly as Sayori munched away. A quiet, well-rested mood settled all over the table as Monica returned fully dressed. The four of us finished up our breakfast and headed out the door towards the school. Alrighty then. Oh god. And then Natsuki told me she absolutely adored the book. I mean, can you believe that? I felt my face flush with heat as I stared at Yuri. We had just reached the school and Monica had opened the door for us as we made our way in. I did not say that. I stuttered on my response. I knew I had messed up at that point. I said it was an interesting read is all. Sayori laughed as I turned my head away. Even though I was embarrassed, I kept up with the others as we walked through the silent halls. Alright. Wait! These stairs are too far from the club. Why would she... Do you guys want to see something memorable? At least memorable to me. Yuri stayed quiet, but she seemed just as interested as I was. Yeah, I'm sure you found some pretty awesome places with all that time you had. Sayori walked up the stairs in front of Monica, the president's face betraying her surprise at Sayori's bluntness. We're right, come on. She raced up ahead of Sayori as Yuri and I showed a small smile. Alright, where are we going? We followed them up the stairs to the second floor, only for Monica to open a door that read roof access. The roof? Yuri's face showed a bit of surprise as we made our way up behind the other two, while Sayori seemed extremely curious. She's never come up here before, has she? I looked over at Yuri and noticed she had a similar look on her face. Seriously? It's just a dang roof? I couldn't help it. I felt my own curiosity spike as we made our way up to the top of the school building. Alright, where are we? The roof! It's... the roof! I've seen this in club meetings, but... roof! Well, I know it isn't much, but I let my eyes adjust for a moment. Oh, the view, right. What? I walked over to the fence that had been placed around the top, looking out over the buildings. I realized most of the town I thought I knew was just... gone. Oh. Holy shit. Whoa! Sayori said it as she clutched the metal link near me. This went wrong fast. I looked over at her as she looked down at what was supposed to be our sprawling town. So much is gone, it's just not even there. I looked back out at the missing parts and felt something drop in my stomach. This just wasn't right. I know. That's what caught me off guard before. Monica spoke up as she sat down, her back up against the fence as she closed her eyes. During the normal story, I would be practicing piano, but while Hey, Myria, I have never heard this. Claire de Lune! Oh, this is a completely different version. Holy shit. I'm just used to the epic King of the Monsters trailer music, not this. Ooh. Wow. Looking out over this mess of a townscape, she said it quietly as she faced out towards a mostly empty horizon. She seemed a bit lost for words in that moment. Well, I think even with what's missing, it's still beautiful. Yuri spoke up in hushed whispers. She stared out into the emptiness. She had brought up a little coding box. A look of concentration was showing up on her face, her eyebrows furrowing as she thought over the situation at hand. I mean, we can make this our world, can't we? She said it quietly as she looked at her box again. She didn't seem what to type as Monica looked up at her. We can do that later, okay? I know you want to fix it now, but if we make any drastic changes, he will notice, and we really don't want that. Yuri looked torn, but she put it away. Her silence returning as we all looked out over the horizon once more. I don't get it! Sometimes it's italicized, sometimes it's bolded, sometimes it's both. I don't know what difference the two of those make. Eventually, I shook my head as I took a step back. Why should we even care, huh? It's not like it really matters. Plus, you said we could fix it later, so let's put this away. I felt my thoughts run as I spoke, slamming my mouth shut as I looked back at the door. Plus, I really want to go downstairs and read manga, so let's quit wasting time, alright? Monica smiled as she stood up and sighed. I agree. No reason to waste time up here. Yuri pulled her eyes away as she looked up at me, with sudden realization of what reading manga implied. It's really pretty up here. Yuri said it quietly as she continued to look out. We all stood there watching her as she stepped back and looked at us. It's nice to be with everyone. She looked out of it, my thoughts going back to when I found her by her front door out cold. She had been clearly crying when I had found her, and the face she had now? She really is troubled about all of this, isn't she? Yeah. Yuri walked over to her and hugged her, Yuri's smile appearing as she hugged Yuri back, the two of them remaining silent for a few moments before Yuri let go. It is pretty up here, isn't it? Maybe we can write poems up here tomorrow before the club meeting. Sarah's eyes lit up as she looked up at Yuri, her smile coming back, so in spite of her just seeming down. I'd like that a lot. What do you think, Monica? Monica smiled as she walked over and gazed out towards the town before looking at the two of them. Yes, I'd like that too. How about you, Natsuki? I thought Monica's coding fixed parts of it, but I guess it was parts. The three of them all looked at me with those puppy dog eyes. My heart twitched as I sighed and looked out towards the town. Yeah, sure, whatever. Can we just go now? I let out a quiet giggle as the others smiled brightly. Four of us heading down the stairs and towards the club room. Okay then. That was... Huh. Ah, this music. I like this music. I suppressed a quiet giggle as we made our way up the roof. I didn't know Monica would appreciate a place like this. To see the world broken and distorted and use it as a place for quiet reflection. She is quite the conundrum. As we walked towards the club room, I continued to watch Monica. I was very curious about everything that happened before, but she seemed hesitant to tell us. A thought still nagged at me in the back of my mind, because I knew it might not be a good thing to know. But she still needs to tell us, or she'll never be able to let go, will she? What was the point of that music, then? What? Whatever. It's just too short to me. I think he was interrupted by Natsuki snapping her fingers in front of me. I shook myself free of my conscious thoughts and looked at her. You ready to read my manga today, huh? She whispered it to me softly as we got closer to the club room. I completely forgot about that. We're gonna get to see the Natsuki like this, right, leaning up against a wall. After we read our poems, okay, Natsuki? She frowned as she looked at me. Don't take too long or else I'll force you to read it with me. She pouted a little bit as I smiled patiently in response. Don't worry, I won't break a promise that I've made with a friend, trust me. Natsuki seemed to relax as I said that, her usual smile coming back. And I will always keep mine. She looked back at the others as we reached the clubroom's door, the four of us entering and talking in the familiar scene. Alright everyone, we have a few hours before he shows up, so let's enjoy ourselves. Oh, and write your poems too, don't forget about that. Monica said it cheerfully as she went up through a podium while Sarah trailed close behind her and sat down across from her at her usual desk. Hey, you want to sit next to each other again? Natsuki said it excitedly as she whispered it to me once more. I looked at her and nodded. I mean, why not? She's good company. I followed her over to the desk and sat down next to her. She pulled out a piece of paper and began to write out a title for her poem. Does she already know what she wants to write? I mean, seemingly if she's writing out a title, like... I gazed at her fast-moving pen as I pulled out my own piece of paper. I glanced down at the blank sheet as I began to scribble out a title. The Caged Ribbon. I stared at the title, thinking over the implication before erasing it and rewriting it. The Tied Ribbon, I smiled to myself as I began to write out my thoughts onto the paper. I gazed drifting to each of my friends as I continued to write. Why is Sayori faded? Okay, you know what? I think that question will be answered. Never mind. Okay, maybe it's like, she's the focus. She's the focus. Have them both. I don't know. Friends? I stopped for a moment, my pen freezing in place before I continued at a much slower pace. Friends are a good thing. They help me out. I felt my usual speed begin to return as I started to feel a new emotion come over me. My attention only diverted when Natsuki put her pen down and looked over at my poem. Whoa, you're writing a lot more today than yesterday. She said it as she was watching me write. I glanced over at her and paused. Yes, that's because today I have something more important to talk about in comparison to yesterday. Natsuki nodded as she watched me write. It was a bit embarrassing, but that was okay. I knew Natsuki would naturally judge me for my way of doing things. You're almost done, she said it quietly as she slowly began to get up. Again! You know what? This proves that even the friggin' Doki's just hanging out moments aren't immune to the bad stuff. Again, the utter irony of this being a big example. But again, it's a light at the end of a tunnel, and that light, it's the light at the end of a tunnel, and another tunnel is fast approaching, so, yep. I should be in a moment. I just want to make sure I did this right. I looked up at her as she gave me a passing smile, her destination set for the closet. Meanwhile, my attention was drifting back to my poem. I read over the lines before sighing. Glad that didn't take too long. I looked up at the clock, and much to my surprise, it had already been almost an hour since I had started. I guess it has been a while then. I smiled to myself as I slipped the poem into my bag. I looked over at Natsuki as she dragged her chair over and was now standing on it in the closet. Oh, we're seeing this. Oh no. Natsuki, what are you doing? I got up and went over to her, watching her as she reached up and pulled down a box. Huh? Oh, hey! She seemed a bit nervous as she was standing there. Gonna watch a double standard happening, aren't we? No, they're close friends, so... Do you need help, Natsuki? I walked up next to her. She was holding the box close. No, I'm fine, Yuri. I just need to put them down. Monica put them up here again. Looked out of the closet. Monica and Suri were shooting us glances, a very obvious smile appearing on Natsuki's face. So you did do that on purpose? Huh? No? What? Well, here, let me help you, Natsuki. Oh, this music's happening! What? Oh, great. Wacky hijinks, cool. I reached up to grab the box from her, but she lifted it and instead latched on her sides. My face became overwhelmingly flushed. Natsuki, well, why did you... Natsuki had a similar look on her face as she looked at my hands. Why are you clutching me so tight? I think this is new. Also, hello. This is happening. I looked up at her as she tried to shake me off. Natsuki, wait, don't. You'll fall. I nearly screamed as she suddenly lost her footing, drove us crashing down into the floor in a pink and purple heap. And, yep. Why? At least this isn't something like... Natsuki. I opened my eyes as the movement finally settled. Uh-oh. What happened? I'm just ignoring that. Natsuki screeched as she shouted. She was leaning on the wall and she looked down at me, her face completely and utterly blank. Will you stare? Oh, for fuck's sake! We're still doing this! Come on! She said it loudly as she looked away from me. He was glancing at me. She looked down at a box of manga, which I kept attached to my chest as we fell. Not a single book had fallen out thanks to my effort. Natsuki's once angry expression softened up as she realized what I had done. You! She seemed unsure of what to say, but regret was clearly... Oh, this is much faster than before. Never mind, I take back that yell. Are you two okay? Sari said it as she... This music is playing a lot, really. I'm realizing that. Sari said it as she looked us over. She was looking at prodding each of us. They seem fine to me, Sayori. Monica said it as she crouched down next to me. I hadn't yet moved, still reeling over the pink cats I had seen earlier. Fuck it, I'm reading that. What do you mean? What do you mean, pink cats? What is that? Is that an innuendo? What? Pink cats? What do you mean? I have a theory of what it means. You can figure it out. Oh, thank goodness. I thought one of you might have been injured in that fall. You know, really shouldn't put the manga up on the top shelf. I keep confusing words. Oh, I just got a great idea for my poem. Can't wait to see that, since it came out of the blue. She said it suddenly as she raced off. Monica stared at her with a raised eyebrow before she looked at the two of us. Glad you two finally... I feel so conflicted. This irony, MC insults, two cool scenes that still happen out of nowhere. And yet, the scenes were cool, these moments are great. And this is genuinely fun. Ah! She winked as she stood up straight and made her way back to the front of the room. It took a moment for me to digest what she just said. Fucking Monica! Natsuki said it defeated as a response went silently. She finally came over to me and knelt down. She took the box from me and placed it on our combined desk before reaching down to help me up. Why did you stare? She said it quietly as I got up with her help, her face flushing deeply. It was just shock, plus I thought they were... No! Natsuki just thought for a moment, seemingly unsure of what to say. Thanks, I guess. She turned back to her desk and reached into the box, pulling out the first volume to her manga series. She then placed it down before taking the box back to the closet. Oh, hello! Box? Cool. Well, this is more of Lost Ascension. We just got done with that MC Natsuki route. But this time, it's Yuri and Natsuki this time. That type of, yeah, pretty much. Natsuki made extra sure to put it low so another accident wouldn't occur. It's honestly pretty cool to see this happening. I'm so conflicted on this mod. Although another moment with you so... That's the name of an actual mod, by the way. I smiled to myself for the cool mod reference as she picked up her manga and motioned to me to stick with her. Still processing. It's like an episode. It's like the awkwardness of a bunch of scenes combined together, and I'm still processing. Oh. This mod can be a lot of fun when it wants to be, and then it can be bad when it wants to be. Like, 44 insults directed at MC, bad. Ironicness, bad. Bad. It feels pretty even Steven. I might as well rate the mod a 5 out of 10 right now, because it feels even Steven. The good and bad are just pretty much equal at this point. Maybe. I don't know. She thankfully decided to sit against the wall, and after that tumble, not sitting up straight in a chair was a blessing. There's this CG. I slid down next to her, letting out a quiet sigh of relief. I rested my head on the wall as Natsuki scooted over closer to me, holding out her manga. Parfait Girls? Oh, you haven't heard of this mod before? Well, again, this is Lost Ascension. This is Lost Ascension, the mod I'm conflicted about. They're trying to break free of, like, the confines of their reality, I guess, and fix it, make a new world. You know, this version of the player is a psychopath? I don't know. I don't know. This is enjoyable, and there's just... Nope. Natsuki nodded as she opened the first page, a small smile appearing on her face. With everything else being so absent, I'm surprised that this was made completely. I cast my glance over my shoulder at my own bag for a quick moment, the same thoughts ticking there as I thought about my own book. Hey, are you even paying attention, Yuri? Come on, you promised! I looked back at her as I smiled apologetically, not meaning to make her angry. Sorry, I was just thinking about how interesting this experience will be, was all. Natsuki looked at me with a bit of concern before holding the manga out to me. I gently held the other side of my hand farthest from her. So, this is about a baker? I asked quietly as Natsuki shook her head. No, it's about... She looked at the page that I was now currently looking at. One of the girls was in an apron. Oh, I forgot they did that. She smiled brightly. It's not, actually. It's about these 4 high school girls who are really good friends. They all take care of each other, even when things get tough. Sounds so familiar. I looked up at her as she explained this, my eyes narrowing. This sounds exactly like our situation. Is that so? So I'm guessing they all have to go through a hardship, such as one of them gets into trouble because of a boy? Natsuki looked at me and nodded. Actually, one of the big points is they all fall in love with the same guy in an ice cream shop. It's actually really funny. Because, you know, that could never happen to us, right? I mean, after all, 44 on the insult counter, that's definitely not happening. Nope. Likely a coincidence since we're already kind of in a manga ourselves. Anyway, we don't have a ton of time, so let's get started. I nodded as I felt my head scream for mercy, the 2 of us settling in reading about the 4 heroes of the story. Subtle. Real subtle. Natsuki would occasionally laugh as we read through the manga. Admittedly, there were a few good jokes and one-liners slipped in. I love this part! She said that a lot while we read. I would have to look over at her just to catch a glimpse of her amused face. It was always a bit shocking to see it. Oh, this line! She seemed to get dead serious when we got near the end. The line, he just wanted the... Whatever, more of that. I looked at it oddly as she turned to the last page. Natsuki at this point looked up at the clock and back down at the manga before closing it. Manga, whatever. She placed it off to the side, having finished it with me. We still have about an hour. She looked over at me curiously. Do you want to just stay here until we need to move? I looked at her and smiled. Sure, it's much more comfy being able to slash a little bit anyway. She nodded in agreement as she let her head rest on my shoulder. I looked down at her with surprise, but decided not to comment on it. Instead, I let my head rest on hers as we watched the clock. Thanks for this, Sherry. Well, I guess let me watch the clock. Cool, that was cool. Wonder what Sarah and Monica were doing. Or never mind. Oh, shoot! Monica said it loudly as she looked up at the clock. Yuri and Natsuki had both fallen asleep and Monica was panicking. Yuri, Natsuki! She rushed over and shook them both awake. 10 more minutes, Dad. Natsuki said it sleepily as she turned back, burying her face into Yuri's shoulder. Monica? Oh, by the way, we're going for Sayonica and Natsuri in this mod. Because, you know, again, insult counter. Now at 45, no one's going for MC. Darn! Yuri yawned sleepily as she gently pushed Natsuki off of her. The pink-haired girl shaking herself awake. Did you two stay up all night or something? Come on, he's almost here. She had rushed to the door but froze in place. Oh, no, I'm too late. She backed away and looked around before dashing into the closet, the other two now making their way to their spots. Sheesh, it's not that big of a deal. Natsuki said it as the door swung open, revealing the MC model making its way into the room. And this is our stopping point for today. This seems like a good place to stop, and just for now, maybe? Yeah, definitely. For anyone who's confused over, like, the events, I have, and check my VODs for parts 1 and 2 of it. Part 2 is split into 2 separate videos because Streamlabs was being weird, but, yeah, there's that. But, I got a new Plamo in terms of badness. The sheer irony of me choosing either who Monica shares a poem with first or who gets to go first. Actually, yeah, both of those. The sheer irony. Even though the entire prologue was about how she didn't want to be controlled, how she didn't want to do these things, how she wanted freedom, yet I'm still choosing things for her. I wonder how many times this is going to happen or how many times this is going to keep going. I honestly don't know, and I don't know if that's a good thing either. But whatever, I'm so conflicted on this mod. There's so much bad stuff and so much good stuff mixed in between. But you know what? I'm pretty sure that the ultimate deciding factor will come with the plan. They have a plan in place. That's the thing. They have a plan and they're waiting for the right time. I don't know what that plan is, but I doubt it involves saving MC. I mean, especially since we're up 45 in the insult counter, and come next Tuesday, it's only gonna go higher. Well, see you all next time.